Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and happy Friday. Welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I am your host, John Herold, and I got a story to tell you guys. So yesterday around noon, actually it was right after the show got done, my daughter was complaining that she wasn't feeling good, and so she did have a fever. Kind of happened all throughout the night. Was up, I didn't get much sleep last night. This morning, still had a fever, even though I'm giving her some medicine. I took her into the doctor this morning. Was there for walk-in clinic. She's fine. She's okay. It's just like a little viral infection she has to get over. The reason I'm telling this story is because I had minimal show prep time this morning, and so I may need your guys' help. I have stories pulled up, stuff we'll talk about, but not my usual slate of things that I would like to discuss. So if there's anything you feel I'm missing or anything you want me to discuss, I'm going to do my best to keep tabs on the chat and have get you guys' input. So with that said, let's get a quick word from our sponsors of today's show, and then we'll start plugging away. First up, we got Brightcore. I'm very excited about this product considering the show we did on baseless conspiracies this last Monday. Did you know a dangerous amount of microplastics are now being found in our water, food, bloodstream, and even our brains? These tiny plastic particles, often invisible to the naked eye, carry toxic chemicals like BPA that disrupt hormones, damage DNA, and inflame our organs. They affect everything from metabolism to fertility and have even been linked to cancer, neurological disorders, autoimmune disease, and developmental issues in children. The worst part, there is no way to avoid exposure. It's everywhere. But there is a way to fight back, and it starts in your gut. Your gut is your first line of defense. A healthy microbiome can bind to and break down microplastic toxins before they poison your cells. But if your gut is compromised, those toxins sneak right through, wreaking havoc on your immune system, energy level, digestion, skin, and even your brain. That's why healing your gut isn't optional anymore. It's essential. Restore your gut flora with the power of Kimchi One, because in a world full of plastic, your gut needs to be bulletproof. Today, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link below in the description of this video. Just use code BADLANDS for 25% off your entire order, or for an even better deal, you can actually give them a call. Call my buddies over there at Brightcore for up to 50% off and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-652-4131. And we got another sponsor. I'm kind of surprised. Like this sponsor purchased an ad on this show, and I think you guys will be just as surprised as I am. But I'm gonna do him justice here, and it's Burning Bright himself, Saving Soul. It's often said that politics is downstream from culture, but perhaps we need a slight amendment. Politics is culture, because culture is everything, and culture starts with stories, which is why we need to take them back. Burning Bright Publishing is one such attempt, along with its debut novel, Saving Soul, an action-packed martial arts epic. Originally pitched as Daredevil meets Bloodsport, Saving Soul tells the story of Akio Prince, a prize fighter who decides to stand up to the ruthless Hachanin. When the same crime syndicate that killed his master threatens the few friends he has left, Akio decides to make a stand, entering a dangerous game of Hunter and Hunted, a bloody revenge tour that will push him to his limits and put his martial art skills to the ultimate test. In the near future Far East, where heroes are hard to find, Akio discovers that a little bad might do a world of good. Support the launch of this new independent American publishing house by backing Burning Bright's Kickstarter campaign for Saving Soul, the first book in the Sword Punk trilogy. And you can get a premium, signed, leather-bound, and foil-stamped collector's edition of the book shipped straight to your door this fall. This limited campaign runs through the end of August, so you can learn more about it at badlandsmedia.tv/swordpunk. That's badlandsmedia.tv/swordpunk. We are in a war of stories, and we have the better writers. You know, I think he wrote this book because obviously his martial arts career didn't end up where he wanted it to be. Otherwise, he'd probably still be doing it. or he'd be more famous for it at least. And because of that, he decided to write a book, you know, kind of all the martial art lore that he wished he could have accomplished himself. And good thing he's a good writer. So for real though, guys, I encourage you to get the book, support those that you like. And we do like Burning Bright, although sometimes we do a little kayfabe about that. We do like him, and I'm excited for him. I think after the support that he's gotten already from the community, they've featured his Kickstarter on Kickstarter's website, which is really cool. So I'm hoping there's lots of pictures in the book. That's right, Aeolus. I agree with you. I hope there's lots of pictures, but I don't know. Buck Wayne, written slow for those who cannot read fast. BB pitched the story to himself. That's true. I don't know if the story is anything like the ad read that he wrote. I think he's got some work to do. Just kidding. I do wish he would allow me to do the audiobook. I hope that becomes a thing. Those who can't teach. Yeah, I'm sure you can't read it fast. John, have you or anyone out there hear anything about Mike Penny? Heard rumblings that he may have passed away? I don't know who Mike Penny is. Sarge Sparky, new rule. John doesn't get to pick the topic on OnlyLands. Strike one, Zucker. Strike two, Tucker. What? The debates are the best part. Like the when we get into those little like tiffs, the arguments, I think those are that is like forging the fire of Badlands. Those are good things. And we all need to be okay with a little conflict now and then. Disagreements are healthy as long as you can all remain friends afterwards. But anyway, let's see what we got for today. We have no update on the Doge website, but no surprise there. We do have a flurry of things over on the White House website. I haven't actually had a chance to read any of these. Normally I would read through them, but I have the fact sheets pulled up. We'll read a couple things out of those. First up, we have improving oversight of federal grant making. I mean, just the title, that's a good thing, but we'll see what it says when we get into it. Ensuring transparency in higher education admissions. Also, I think a good thing. Guaranteeing fair banking for all Americans. That is a good thing, but I have some comments about that one. That one kind of irked me a little bit, and I'll tell you why. Just because of stuff that's happened to me personally. And then democratizing access to alternative assets for 401k investors. We kind of read that or talked about that story yesterday. But let's see. First up, let's do this one. Trump signing the memorandum directing the Secretary of Education to require higher education institutions receiving federal financial assistance to be transparent regarding their admission practices. The memorandum directs them to revamp the online presentation and data collection of the Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System, IPEDS, to make it efficient, easily accessible, and intelligibly presented for parents and students. It's supposed to expand the scope of required reporting. I mean, yeah, anybody getting federal funds, which first of all, I wish we would just stop giving federal funds to anybody, let alone higher education institutions. But yeah, if we're going to continue to give these people funds, they better be extremely, extremely transparent about their process for selecting who they're admitting to the schools. So yeah, I mean, no brainer, makes sense. I wish we would just, what happened to getting rid of the Department of Education? Are we still in process for doing that? We have this. Trump stops wasteful grant making. Another thing. I hate the grant process of our government because it's tax dollars, right? At least that's what we're told, like tax dollars, tariffing, all these other things. Why are we paying money when the government gets to decide, okay, we're going to give a grant to this 501c3, we're going to give a grant to this group, this organization? If people wanted to support those organizations, they would do that themselves, wouldn't they? But they don't. Instead, our government does it for us. I'm so sick of the taxpayer stuff. It's ridiculous. John, I think the issue is the topics take up the entire show. Green Dildo saved the day. Yeah, and some of that's not my fault. Some of the people on there are very wordy, and it's hard getting them to Like you can't have a discussion when one person talks for like half an hour and the people on the other side only get like 3 minutes because they get talked over and interrupted and like you have to make it fair. So like you still want to make your arguments and your points. So it's hard to move on from those topics until everybody gets all the things they want to say out. But yeah, I agree with your point. We'll try to make it more. How about this, Sergeant Sparky? You come up with the topics for tonight's show and we'll talk about them. Besides the dildo gate, that's a for sure. We are going to do another dildo gate topic because that's just been so funny. WNBA, most ironic thing to happen to the WNBA in a while. But yeah, anyway, so they're making sure that awards undergo more rigorous evaluation, blah, 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 blah. I wish we'd just get rid of the grant making altogether. We talked about this one yesterday, so I'm going to kind of gloss over that. Okay, the fair banking one. President Trump guarantees fair banking for all Americans. Today, President Trump signed an executive order to ensure that federal regulators do not promote policies and practices that allow financial institutions to deny or restrict services based on political beliefs, religious beliefs, or lawful business activities, ensuring fair access to banking for all Americans. The order directs federal banking regulators to remove reputational risk and other equivalent concepts that enable politicized or unlawful debanking from their guidance, examination manuals, and other materials. So, like, this is great. Yeah, they never should have been able to do this in the first place. And honestly, I think there should be some sort of punishment for having done this in the first place. I have been I guess not technically debanked. I use a local bank, but if you consider PayPal like a financial institution or financial application, whatever you call it, I got kicked off of PayPal. I got kicked off of, I can't use Venmo. I've been kicked off Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee. Pretty much like all the major ones. I can use Cash App. That's about it. But then on the flip side of this, like while this is good and it's a good thing, I'm annoyed that we still haven't had any real traction or movement in the free speech stuff. Because it's great that they're guaranteeing fair banking for all Americans, but when are we going to get the level playing field for all Americans? Because we are still censored like crazy on all of these platforms. I can't even sign up for Facebook still. Instagram, somehow I can. We have a Instagram account. But remember, like I told you guys, in the first month, we got like 9,000 plus followers on Instagram. We had a video that went viral, like our fourth video went viral, had like 1 million views on Instagram. And then after that, we can't get a single video to get over 2,000 views, and we've hardly gained any followers, which just doesn't seem organically possible. And I'm not saying that maybe our content sucks. That's totally fair. Not everybody's into it, whatever. But even just by like sheer level playing field, sheer numbers that we have, we should be at least getting, like, if we have 9,000 followers, how are we only getting 2,000 views? It's stuff like that. There's no such thing as an even playing field on actual freedom of speech platforms like that, YouTube. And that's the stuff that upsets me. So this is great. This is a first step, making sure everybody has fair banking, level the playing field with banking. Banks shouldn't be allowed to censor people based on their political beliefs or any reputational harm it might cause their bank. Okay, let's do the same thing for the social media platforms and the streaming platforms. And maybe that's next. I know there was that executive order at the very beginning of Trump's term where, they're talking about freedom of speech and all that stuff. And it's great, but we haven't seen any actual movement on furthering free speech since that happened. There's been no tangibles. There was a time when we had a sponsor who reached out to us. They wanted to be a sponsor on Badlands. And people started reaching out to them asking why they're looking to sponsor our and so we lost a sponsor because we got I have an email and everything. They were afraid to sponsor us because of the reputational harm, because this journalist was digging around and was going to write an article about him. Like that should be criminal. That's tortious interference. A lot of tortious interference going on lately. Bravest says, I agree with BB when it comes to this. The cultural shift must take place first. Yeah, I mean, that's a great point for sure. a great point. Phil Scarborough, I ditched my blue check on X because I get no benefit from it. I'm shadow banned and had very little engagement. Yeah, I don't get the Twitter engagement either. Like I'll get some stuff that does well, but I haven't seen much benefit to the blue check either, I don't think. Cat RN says Instagram keeps unfollowing you, and I refollow Badlands 2 times that I know of. I only used to see my kids and grandkids, but do follow Badlands. I appreciate that. Some people are still banned on X. It's just so insane. So insane. Wahlberg Forge, yes, fact checkers, but destroyed my business, and I'm still censored. Unbelievable. See you guys talking about Gart. That's great. Who's all coming? I'll be there. Very excited. Can't believe it's next week. If you guys haven't, if you haven't seen it yet, we put out our like schedule for the conference and the topics and everything, and who's speaking on what panels. So that's available now. Get your tickets, badlandsmedia.tv/events. It's going to be a great time. Okay, let's start going through a couple news stories. These might be out of order because, like I said, I didn't do my typical show prep this morning because my daughter was sick. But the government-backed MP materials surges as loss narrows on record rare earth oxide production. Now, I love this story because to me, this is like a little minor Devo proof. About a month ago, the DoD acquired the majority stake in MP Materials, and the whole article that I read at the time was like, "I promise this is not a federal takeover. We're still going to do, whatever the wishes of our shareholders are." Well, their largest shareholder is the DoD now, and it's basically a federal takeover. But it's the push for the rare earths, and this is kind of the future. The fact that this stock is going up is great. I think we're going to start seeing more companies start being created to mine this stuff in the United States. They're finding more deposits. But what I'm still looking for is with this peace agreement that we're being told is on the verge of with Russia, Ukraine, United States, or whatever. I want to know how much of the rare earths of Ukraine that we're going to get out of it, because I don't think Trump's going to abandon that deal. We've given a lot of money that's been unaccounted for to Ukraine, and we better get something back in return for that. And I'm hoping it's the rare earths. But anyway, MP Materials stock surged on Friday after the miner narrowed its losses in the second quarter on record production of key rare earth oxide, raising hopes among investors that the company is moving toward profitability after a big investment from the DoD. Yeah, I can't imagine the DoD is going to invest in a company that is long-term going to fail, especially something like this. But yeah, so good stuff. Let's go to, I wonder if there's a couple interesting Truth Social posts from Trump. Maybe not maybe interesting is not the right word, but yesterday on our exclusive live stream, Ash pulled up a video that was going through like a whole bunch of different nicknames for John, and she said that her favorite was Azerbaijan or something, like just funny, like just a nickname you can use for John. And then like 2 hours later, President Trump comes out with this post. Maybe it's nothing, probably nothing. But anyway, I look forward to hosting the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, and the prime minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, at the White House tomorrow for a historic peace summit. These two nations have been at war for many years, resulting in the deaths of thousands of people. Many leaders have tried to end the war with no success until now, thanks to Trump. My administration has been engaged with both sides for quite some time. Tomorrow, the two presidents will join me at the White House for an official peace signing ceremony. The United States will also sign bilateral agreements with both countries to pursue economic opportunities together so we can fully unlock the potential of the South Caucasus region. I'm very proud of these courageous leaders for doing the right thing for the great people of Armenia and Azerbaijan. It will be a historic day for both. See you then. You know what? If I'm being totally honest, guys, I don't even know where the hell Azerbaijan is. It's next to Georgia, not Atlanta, Georgia. Ooh. Wasn't there Wasn't there something me and Ghost talked about on a show a while ago about Azerbaijan and like either China or Russia and some sort of nuclear deal? Um, wasn't I'm pretty sure I could have swore. Is this it? Oh, let's see. Azerbaijani government is actively working on the peaceful development of its nuclear energy program. In recent years, Azerbaijan has strengthened cooperation with international partners, including Russia's Rosatom. Yeah, I think it was Russia. I don't remember what this is about. Somebody's gonna have to ask Ghost on a show today. See if he knows what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, back in 2019, Russia proposes to build power plant in Azerbaijan. Okay. Russia and Armenia agree on nuclear power plant. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and look. But I'm just saying the reason I'm thinking of that is interesting now is because yesterday we had the discussion about Ukraine and Russia and like potentially on the verge of peace, and that peace situation has very much to do with whatever happens with Israel and Gaza and all that stuff. It's all connected. And like stuff like this, like now we're getting an announcement that Armenia and Azerbaijan are coming to terms. Is it because of, or does it need to precede the peace deal between Ukraine and Russia and the United States stuff? That's why I'm curious about how this all connects. I'm sure Ghosts will figure it out for you guys. I'll ask him though. Another post from Trump here is this one. Edward, talking about Edward, I think Krosenstein or whatever, Big Balls from Doge. The crime situation in Washington, just like our southern border, where 0 illegals entered in the last 3 months, will be a safe place for very soon. Thank you for your bravery and heart. Stay tuned. And there's a story I have on the Badlands Media website kind of having to do with this. Federal law enforcement presence expands in D.C. following Trump's crime crackdown order. Federal agents began a heightened deployment in Washington, D.C. on Friday following President Trump's directive to address the city's escalating violent crime. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt announced Thursday night that the surge in law enforcement is part of a federal operation aimed at reclaiming public safety in the nation's capital. Starting tonight, there will be no safe harbor for violent criminals in D.C. President Trump is committed to making the nation's capital safer for its residents, lawmakers, and visitors from all around the world. The week-long operation, which began at midnight Friday, is being led by the U.S. Park Police and includes personnel from multiple agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security, Marshals, FBI, ICE, Capitol Police, and the Metropolitan Police Department. Federal officers are stationed at major intersections in high crime areas and could remain beyond the initial 7-day window. This is interesting. The deployment why is the Park Police the ones doing it? Like, why are they the ones leading it? Doesn't that seem a little weird? Like they're the police for the National Park Service. I wonder. Huh. Yeah, sorry, I was just doing a little dig, see if I can find anything, but nothing crazy sticking out of me. The deployment follows Trump's recent signing of an executive order titled Making the District of Columbia Safe and Beautiful, which allocates federal resources to immigration enforcement and violent crime prosecution. EC was here, says Park Police have jurisdiction over a lot of sites in D.C. That's good to know. What else would they be doing? Great question. Bannon had someone on end of the afternoon show, said we are putting U.S. contractors over there. The guy said it would be good, Armenia, and the other Christians over there. Okay, interesting. Jess Coke, thumbs up and saying hi. Good to see you, Jess Coke. Severe FOMO about Gart. Maybe one day. We'll get your virtual ticket and you can still kind of be there. Do our best. Mom of Two says, I know it needs to be taken in hand, but isn't this on the way to police state in other states? Maybe. I don't care who does it as long as it gets done. My brother-in-law worked for Park Police. Yeah, I mean, I don't care who does it either as long as it gets done. It seems weird, you know. It's like we're gonna get rid of all the violent criminals in this country, and it's the Park Police that are gonna lead the way. Just seems weird. I've never heard of them like leading the charge in some sort of anything like this. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I just haven't seen it before. Whiskey Girl, good to see you. Looking forward to next week. $20 Rant says, I was asked in the Gart9 Telegram chat to remind everyone about our celebration Wednesday, 8/13, 7:30 p.m., Saloon 10, Main Street, Deadwood, South Dakota. Hope to see everyone there. Hugs, link pinned in Telegram chat. Looking forward to seeing you. And thank you for the rant. But yeah, so cracking down on stuff in DC, which is great. We got a couple more stories here. This is a good one. Letitia James subpoenaed in federal grand jury probe tied to the Trump fraud case. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been subpoenaed by a federal grand jury impaneled by the Albany U.S. Attorney's Office as part of an investigation into her office's $454 million civil fraud judgment against President Trump. The subpoenas follow an FBI investigation into the case, prompting the Department of Justice to open the grand jury probe. A second subpoena reportedly targets James' separate investigation into the NRA, National Rifle Association, according to the New York Times. Attorney General Pam Bondi has also appointed Special Prosecutor Ed Martin to lead an investigation into allegations of mortgage fraud involving Senator Adam Schiff and Letitia James, according to White House correspondent Peter Doocy. So she is in trouble. Now, what's going to be interesting is to see if stuff like this, like what she was doing in New York, was clearly part of the broader political persecution that they were going after Trump with. And they have a grand jury looking into it. Is that grand jury actually, like, is that grand jury investigation going to be tied into the Rico Grande investigation that is kind of overlying the whole thing? Because you know it's all connected. Same with the Fannie Willis thing in Georgia, all this stuff. They were throwing the entire book at him. And I wonder if you can get into like some of these states that try to use some of these rulings to take Trump off the ballot. Like, how much of this is all connected? That's what I'm so curious to see, is how far they're actually going to go with this, or if they're just going to focus in on the intelligence community and what they did and their role. You can make this so damn broad if they keep digging and if they wanted to. But we shall see. Marine in the Woods says, flip her like a little bitch. Pardon my French. Just looking at her, I feel like she'd be a hard one to flip. Might need two people to flip. Oh, you mean like flip in terms of like have her be a witness against her co-conspirators? I get what you're saying. Appeals court blocks Judge that was a joke, by the way, guys. Appeals court blocks Judge Boasberg's contempt case against Trump officials over Alien Enemies Act deportations. A federal appeals court on Friday. Excuse me. Yeah, drinking my coffee quick. Like flipping Jello. I don't know if I like swallowed something down the wrong tube or what. My throat is all of a sudden real scratchy. A federal appeals court on Friday barred U.S. District Judge James Boasberg from proceeding with criminal contempt charges against Trump administration officials who deported Venezuelan gang members earlier this year. In a 2-1 decision, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit vacated Boasberg's April ruling, which found probable cause to hold officials in contempt for violating his March order suspending deportations under the Alien Enemies Act. The ruling marks a major setback for Boasberg, an Obama appointee, who had pledged to pursue accountability for what he called defiance of his order. The appeals court had already paused his contempt plans while considering the Justice Department's challenge. The majority opinion was authored by 2 Trump-appointed judges, while the lone dissent came from an Obama nominee. And I do think I saw some people posting on Twitter about, I think this might be it. Let me see. I just want to make sure I'm reading the right thing. Yeah, so Harmeet Dillon says, ouch, this is a bench slap of epic proportions in which the D.C. Circuit ruled it was patently obvious that Judge Boasberg was out of line in the Trinidad deportation case. Black Hat Destroyer says, North Dakotan catching a cold before GART may not be South Canadian disinformation. Don't eat sea bugs, John. Thank you, Spetzel. Have a Benson honey candy, John. I do have a bunch up in my cupboard. I should go do that. I love those Benson honeys. I do hope I'm not getting sick, because my daughter was obviously sick. My girlfriend's not feeling good today. She thinks she might be getting sick. And I usually have actually, I'm not even going to say it. I don't want to jinx myself. I'm not even going to say it. Anyway, this is from part of the ruling. At the end of this dispute lies a much simpler question. By its terms, the TRO prohibited the government from removing suspected TDA members. This prohibition could be interpreted in either of 2 ways. It might have barred the government simply from expelling detainees from United States territory, or it might have barred the government from surrendering custody of the detainees to a foreign sovereign. All agree that the government did not violate the TRO under the former view, so the contempt question boils down to a straightforward interpretive dispute over what constituted removing within the meaning of the TRO. For purposes of criminal contempt, ambiguities in the underlying injunction must be resolved in favor of the alleged contemner. I wonder if John has a thick tongue. What is that supposed to mean? And yes, I do. When I was very young, 1 or 2, I was still in a little walker as a baby. I was at daycare and I fell, they left the door to the basement open. I fell down the stairs in my walker and I bit my tongue almost all the way off. My mom says hanging by kind of like a thread essentially. And my excuse for having a fat tongue is when it healed, the scar tissue, it healed it so fat. That's my excuse. So yes, I do. Anyway, at the time of the alleged contempt, just hours after the TRO hearing and before any transcript of it was available, the district court's minute order could reasonably have been read either way. Thus, the TRO cannot support a criminal contempt conviction here. The government has sought review of the probable cause order by way of appeal in mandamus. Did I say that right? Mandamus? There is no basis for interlocutory appellate jurisdiction. Nonetheless, mandamus is appropriate because the government is plainly correct about the merits of the criminal contempt, and our saying so now would prevent long disputes between the executive and the judiciary over difficult, contentious issues regarding the court's power to control foreign policy or prosecutions or to impose criminal sanctions for violating injunctions entered without jurisdiction. In circumstances much less fraught than these, courts have reviewed interlocutory orders through mandamus to prevent extended inter-branch conflict. I hate how they use such big words in court stuff. Anyway, yeah, it's good stuff. John, take some zinc and vitamin D from now until GART and give it to your kids, girlfriend. I will do my best. Got a few days, get some sun, and I'm not worried. I don't feel sick or anything. I just got a little dry throat. Okay, that's a great comment here from MKOPSIC. John, check out Project Veritas' new investigation. Bill Barr played a huge part in going after Trump. This is actually a great thing to talk about. Let me pull this up because I actually have some. Is it Project Veritas or is it James O'Keefe? Oh, it was Project Veritas. I can't believe they went with this story, if I'm being totally honest. So they did this interview of this girl, Patricia Lalis. Part 2, Bill Barr held secret meetings to plot prosecutions of Trump and block his political comeback. blah, blah. It's like this huge hit piece on Barr. And I'm not even going to say that Bill Barr is a good dude. Like, I'm not trying to defend Bill Barr here. Okay. It's the same thing with my arguments with Pence. Like, if you're going to, you guys can attack either one of those people. You can have your opinions of them. But if you're basing those opinions on bad information, then I'm going to call you out for that. And I'm not even necessarily taking a stance on either one. My personal opinions of them has shifted for sure. I'm not as confident as I used to be. Okay. But with this individual in particular, me, CanCon, and Ash, I think it was back in December of last year. I think maybe we'll talk a little bit about this on the show. It was so long ago, but there's a story that first broke out about this specific person, this Patricia, and we interviewed her lawyer. Like, we didn't record it or anything. We had a discussion because we were kind of trying to feel out and like get the merits of what these accusations were. And I don't even remember the exact details, but I do remember coming out of these calls, or that call, being like, it doesn't add up, man. Like, I texted Brian. Let me even pull the text up that I texted Brian. This is what I said. I said, I don't trust any of the story. She needs to publicly dump all evidence. Otherwise, it's a bullshit limited hangout smear campaign. And that's still my take on it. They say they have evidence against Bill Barr. They've been saying they've had this evidence for a long time, but we haven't actually seen any of it publicly, other than stuff that doesn't prove what they're claiming. Does that make sense? And I apologize. This is like, I wasn't planning to go into this. I forgot about it. What is going on? Hold for process. I need to find just got my notes on this. Because she went on a show. Okay, yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff on this. I need to save some screenshots here. There was a down in Brazil, she engaged in like a whole bunch of fraud. You know what? I'm gonna save this, and maybe tonight, either on Early Lands or Monday on the show, I'll talk about this in detail. But I'm not buying the story. Okay, I'll leave it at that for now. Just I don't want to be so scatterbrained on this because I have a whole bunch of notes on it, a whole bunch of stuff pulled together. Flynn said Pence is bad. A lot of people say Pence is bad, but they don't say it with any like proof of it. And I still think, and I could be wrong about it for sure, I still think I would put more benefit of the doubt that in order to pull something off like devolution, you need the guy that's like a heartbeat away from the presidency is probably not going to be a bad. St. Pete 70 says, I have a hunch how the dildos are being smuggled into the NBA games. I got a hunch on that too. Okay, let's we'll keep going though. But thank you for putting that story on my radar again. I completely forgot. Spetzel puts in supposed evidence. Yeah, her evidence is her own notes with the date at the top. Like, I could write a note. Watch this. What's the date on that? September 13th. September 13th, 2021. Patricia admits she's making up the Bill Barr story. Look at that. There. My proof is just as good as hers. And my proof says that she's making up a story. Don't mind my shitty handwriting. Hers is definitely nicer. I don't have highlights either, but like this doesn't prove shit to me. Does that make sense? Handwritten notes mean nothing. I need like timestamp screenshots of messages and shit. But yeah, we'll dig into this a little more later. Nice cursive. I have such bad handwriting. I'm pretty sure my son, like in second grade now, going into second grade, has probably better handwriting than me, especially when I'm rushed. Like if I'm doing it slow, I can make it look neat, but otherwise it's pretty bad. The DOJ has doubled its reward for Maduro to $50 million in escalated crackdown on narco terrorism. Attorney General Pam Bondi on Thursday announced that the U.S. Justice Department and State Department are offering an unprecedented $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, accusing him of collaborating with terrorist organizations and drug cartels to flood the U.S. with deadly narcotics. This is also interesting to me because I'm not sure that I'm necessarily convinced that Maduro is the bad guy. Like, he's essentially an enemy of the regime. And for the most part, as Chris Paul has talked about, like for the most part, people that are enemies of the regime aren't always the bad guy. Not saying they're not a bad person, but like bad guy in terms of the way we think good guy, white hat, black hat, all that stuff, you know? Like Putin, I don't think is a good guy, but he's an enemy of the regime. I could see Trump working with him. But what I thought was most interesting is this. So yesterday after this story came out, I went to the Federal Register and looked at what Donald Trump has done in terms of Maduro stuff. And there's an interesting executive order that Trump issued that I forgot about. I mean, I knew this was there. I've read this a couple times, but I didn't quite recognize one interesting aspect of this. It's a memorandum for the Secretary of State, and maybe that's why I didn't like read that much into it. It's not necessarily an executive order; it's a memorandum, and a lot of my focus is on the executive orders. But it's talking about. Look at the date of this: January 19th, 2021, right before leaving office. Talking about Maduro and how he has consistently violated sovereign freedoms of Venezuelan people. Blah 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 blah. On his way out the door, Trump deferred the enforced departure of a whole host of Venezuelans. A lot. Pursuant to my constitutional authority to conduct the foreign relations of the United States, I have determined that it is in the foreign policy interest of the United States to defer, which means to kind of wait and hold off on the removal of any national of Venezuela or alien without nationality who last habitually resided in Venezuela, subject to the conditions and exceptions provided below. In my opinion, this kind of like contributed to the illegal immigration stuff that Biden had throughout his term. Trump deferred the deportation of a lot of Venezuelans that they knew were here illegally. Isn't that kind of interesting? Was Castro good, John? I don't know. John, are your kids taught cursive at school these days? I think so. Like they're not working on that now. I think in third or fourth grade though, they do cursive. Have you talked about Cash and his pilot? What do you mean Cash and his pilot? I don't know what that refers to. You have to send me a link or something. And yes, I do think Castro was like not a good dude. Anyway, let's see. Oh man, we only have 50 minutes left. Okay, let's go to. By the way, going back to the story real quick. Like, how do I get the 50 million? Do I have to like bring him in, or do I just have to give information that gets him arrested? Like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? And that's like super. That's basically like putting a hit out on somebody. Our government put a hit out on Maduro in a lot of ways. Whatever. Trump appoints Stephen Moran to Federal Reserve Board in an interim role. This is interesting, guys, and you'll see why here shortly. President Trump on Thursday named Stephen Moran chair of the Council of Economic Advisors to the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, filling the seat vacated by Adriana Kugler, who resigned last Friday. Moran will serve the remainder of Kugler's term, which ends on January 31st of 2026. So pretty short term. What is that, like 5 months or so? Trump signaled that a permanent pick for the full 14-year term may come later, describing Moran's appointment as temporary. He has been with me. I'm just going to read the whole post. It is my great honor to announce that I have chosen Dr. Stephen Moran, current chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, to serve in the vacated seat until January 31st, 2026. In the meantime, we will continue to search for a permanent replacement. He has a PhD in economics from Harvard and served with distinction in my first administration. He has been with me from the beginning of my second term, and his expertise in the world of economics is unparalleled. He will do an outstanding job. Congratulations, Stephen. Why I think this is interesting is, if you guys recall, a couple times now, I think, on Power Hours, Chris and myself and Burning Bright, we have gone over the Mar-a-Lago Accords, which is like this, talking about how Trump is going to restructure the entire global trading system. This document, this 41-page document, which we've gone over multiple times, was written by this Stephen Moran, former Hudson Bay senior strategist. So I just think it's interesting when we try to, at Badlands, not only figure out what the hell is going on now, but also kind of game theory about where things are going to go. And so anytime we have a discussion about something, and then later our discussion from back then becomes relevant because we've mapped the situation onto reality in the correct way, that's a notable thing to us. It's interesting and exciting in a lot of ways. So I think it's really kind of a big deal that we're seeing this guy's name back in the news. The Mar-a-Lago Accords, by the way, if you've gone back and looked at this document, I'll post in the chat. It's a good read to kind of understand where things are going. I think what we're seeing play out right now, reshaping the global system, it's kind of played out in a lot of ways like this document has predicted and said it would. John tried to say she sells seashells by the seashore. Get rid of the lisp. I do have a lisp sometimes. It's okay. Don't judge. What else do I got for you guys? I think I have more. Just accidentally exited out of, I think, a lib meltdown video I had for you guys. Hold for processing while I get that back up. Here we go. Little lib meltdown. Lib meltdown of the week.
Can you guys imagine waking up every single day of your life having pink, pasty skin? Looking at yourself in the mirror, feeling so frustrated because your skin is so bland and pale and pasty that you now feel like you have to go and spend your money just to change your skin color. You have to go and buy brown makeup. You have to go and spend money to lay in the tanning salons. You have to go and spend money to buy sunscreen just so you can be able to lay out in the sun to turn your skin brown. What a terrible way to live your life. If I'm not grateful for anything else in this life, I am grateful for being Black. Black power forever.
I'm just going to submit that video without comment, I think. I think it speaks for itself. Ridiculous. I did just see Ali Tucker over on Badlands put up this on the website. I think we kind of discussed this a little bit yesterday, but might as well mention it again. Israel approves Gaza City takeover. IDF mobilizes for operation. Israel's security cabinet has approved Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to take control of Gaza City. Prime Minister's office confirmed Friday. The operation, expected to last at least 6 months, aims to encircle the city, relocate around 1 million residents south, and dismantle Hamas infrastructure. Netanyahu said it marks the only path to defeating Hamas, adding in a Fox News interview that Israel intends to take military control of the entire Gaza Strip and later transfer governance to another authority. Do you trust that they're actually going to transfer it back to a different authority? Because I don't. The cabinet also adopted 5 principles for ending the war, which are disarming Hamas, returning all hostages, demilitarizing Gaza, maintaining Israeli security control, and establishing a civilian government independent of Hamas or the Palestinian Authority. Isn't that kind of what we did with Iraq? Isn't this like kind of the same playbook template? How'd that work for us? Just a 6-month war, right? Just 6 months. It's only going to take 6 months. Satellite imagery reviewed by U.S. officials shows a significant IDF buildup along the Gaza border, with NBC reporting signs of an imminent major ground operation. Defense Minister Israel Katz emphasized that Hamas must be decisively defeated and said he and Netanyahu are authorized to implement the IDF's battle plans. A Hamas official warned that any force installed in Gaza post-Hamas would be treated as an occupying force linked to Israel. John, I don't care if you have a lisp as long as you call it Rico Grande and not Rico Grande. I go back and forth. I just want to feel it out. I go back and forth that way. It's me playing good cop, bad cop with the Rico case for whenever Trump eventually chooses one. Because he's probably going to do the same thing, Rico Grande or Rico Grande. I want to see what nickname he gives it. And this way I can say I was right and I called it. But yeah, I'll try to stick to Rico Grande. Or Rico Suave. One of the two. Because Rico Suave would be cooler because that was the name of my article back in the day. Anyway. Anything else I should talk about, guys? See if I got any boosts real quick. No new boosts. Do I got any rants? Got a couple rants. I can go through those. Here we go. Rocky Top Apologist, $2 for the chat. Whiskey Girl with that. I'll read this one again, just for those who don't know. I was asked in the Gart9 Telegram chat to remind everyone about our celebration Wednesday, August 13th, 7:30 p.m., Saloon 10, Main Street. Hope to see everyone there. Hugs. Linked pinned in Telegram chat. The Ape Theory says to you swallow comment. That's what she. And then another one. I'm such a loser. You're not a loser. You're a good dude. John, you speak jive? Not sure I get that reference. But yes, I do. Easy was here. I'd like a Rico Grande with cheese. RP61. Yes, my legs are white and pasty. The horseflies think they're tasty. Oh, gross. How about El Grande Rico? I like that too. Let me go check the YouTubers. Nothing over there. But all right, guys. I think what we're gonna do is we'll wrap it up here. I'm gonna send you over to Ghost Show. We'll raid his. Oh, Airplane, the movie. Duh. My bad. I haven't seen that in a long time. I should watch that again. I'm retarded. My bad. I'm going to send you over to Ghost Show and make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. I will be back on tonight on OnlyLands, and I'll try not to piss everybody off tonight. My bad. But it should be a fun time, as usual. But you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy this little outro video that we have, this little teaser, which will be premiering at Gart in Deadwood, what we're disclosing here. And by the way, thank you to Rise of Tire for creating this soft disclosure logo of ours. Very excited about this. See you guys tonight, and then back again Monday and tomorrow on the Power Hour.
Real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.